Gentlemen, welcome to the Urban Heat, R&B Talk on a Tuesday. My name is Steve Gooseby, with the lovely Tara in the building. And also want to give it up for our Boston City Councilor, Ed Flynn, who is in the studio today live. Thank you for joining us, Ed.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Laura. It's great to be with both of you this morning.
Right. It's always a pleasure to have you. And thank you for coming in for such short notice as well. So I wanted you to come in, man. Just got a number of things we want to talk about real quick. Public safety in the city of Boston. And, I'm not sure what happened last night or this week or the week before, but there's always something going on in terms of violence in the city of Boston. And a few weeks ago, we had a conversation here. I think we had Chip Greenidge on, and we were just talking about the National Guard and how not to bring up President Trump. I know a lot of people have a dislike for him, but my question was, why not take a page out of the book of the troops being in D.C. and some of the other areas? Although crime might have been declining prior to, there was no crime while those National Guard troops were in those cities or in certain cities. And, my question is, why can't we take a page out of that book here in the city of Boston? It doesn't even have to be the National Guard. It could be more police. Presence seems to be the answer. So what is the issue here in the city of Boston?
Well, Steve, thank you. It's a great question, and residents have asked me about it for a while now. I come from it a little different than the other elected officials. I served 24 years in the U.S. Navy, and so I've worked with the National Guard for many years and understand how critical they are to our city and state. The National Guard is under the jurisdiction of the governor. Mm-hmm. And the only way the National Guard could come to Boston is really a partnership between the mayor and the governor. I know the National Guard does a lot of work, especially during the Boston Marathon, for security. But I also know during COVID, when everything was shut down, but the National Guard was in our nursing homes, their medical teams, helping patients with critical medical services. They were setting up hospitals. They were setting up clinics so people could get their vaccination. But I respect the National Guard. I think it's worth having a conversation about whether or not we want the National Guard in our city, mm-hmm. because it focuses us on the current situation of Boston police being 400 or 500 police officers short, understaffed. We don't have enough police officers in Boston. Many of them, or most of them, are consistently working 16 hours a day. I believe that's unhealthy for the officer, for his or her family. I also believe it's unhealthy for the residents of the city. I want to at least have a discussion on how we can support our police officers and their families mm-hmm. during this critical time. But just the status quo system we have is not working. I'm trying to come up with as many options as I can, but I think part of the solution also needs for us to at least acknowledge that having police officers consistently working 16 hours a day is not the answer.
Yeah. And it's always the same neighborhoods. So when you think about it, I bet if I had a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old here in the studio and I explained to them the problem, they probably say, well, it's happening here all the time. So why not focus on those particular areas and solve the problem? I don't know. Maybe it's just for me, it's easier said than done, which I'm sure that is the case. I don't know. Spend the money. It's worth it. I mean, think about that parent who just lost a child to gun violence or whatever may have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you referenced at the beginning, Steve, the 13 people shot during the July 4th celebration weekend, rather. I think that weekend we were not prepared with staffing levels in the city of Boston on the Boston Police Department. We were dangerously understaffed. I don't think we were prepared for that weekend of violence, and unfortunately, it showed. I'm also dealing with many public safety challenges a crisis really in downtown Boston and in Chinatown, parts of the South End. Residents don't feel safe any longer in many of these neighborhoods. In downtown Boston, where it's the capital of business and finance, residents that live there are struggling, and businesses are calling me up every day, their workers, and are saying, Ed, we need more police in downtown Boston, but we also need to arrest people that are selling drugs. That is a critical part of it, that when you see someone selling drugs to whoever it is, that there has to be a response in the police department.
And you got to think too, with the police officers out here that's working overtime over and over again in the same neighborhoods. You know what you see in certain, well, maybe not here in Boston, you don't hear about it a lot, but in other cities, the stress levels.
Mm-hmm.
Then it gets to the point where they're arresting somebody, and all of a sudden this guy is just, he needs a break, but he's taking it out on whoever he's arresting. We haven't really seen that yet, but the stress levels got to be high for Boston police.
It's very high. I speak to them almost every day, and they're overwhelmed about what is happening now in the city of Boston. And I think we're at a breaking point now where we just can't accept what is taking place. It's hurting morale. It's hurting officers. It's hurting their families. It's unhealthy and it's unsafe. And we all agree on that. But what is the solution? The city hasn't come up with any solutions yet. I've come up with recommendations on how we move forward. Here's an example, Steve. Last night, I conducted a safety meeting on site in Chinatown, out in front of the Chinatown gate. Immediately after the meeting, a police officer was engaging a homeless guy that was selling. It was probably 85 degrees out. The homeless guy was selling meat. Wow. Hamburger and steak to people. But you talk about a public health issue, selling kind of warm meat to residents. Well, they found out after doing a little bit of a background on him, he has an open warrant out of Middlesex Superior Court for breaking and entering. And this is the same guy that's preying on people in a predominantly neighborhood of color, an immigrant neighborhood. But we just can't ignore crime when we see it. I know people get upset with me for calling for a zero tolerance policy, but I think most people abide by the rules. They respect the law. They pay their bills. They pay their taxes. They try to support their family the best they can. But they also want us to deal with the ongoing violence and crime and address quality of life issues in our city.
Right. And believe me, people that live in these neighborhoods, they want the problem fixed.
They do.
Yeah.
They don't want to step out of their houses, gunshots ringing and the craziness that's been going on. They're tired of it. And it just, I don't know, to me, from the outside looking in, more presence. You got to have more presence, whether it's Boston Police, whether it's National Guard. If the National Guard curbs the crime, why not take a page out of that book? If it's about money, then you waste money on things that, that's a whole nother story. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the perception people have of the National Guard is not the perception I have. I don't think of the National Guard as a negative body, a negative law enforcement, military. I have respect for them because I've seen them in action. And it's not just in their role as soldiers per se, but it's in their role of helping residents in need. You see them oftentimes at floods or when there's a major snowstorm, or helping cities and towns recover from some type of an emergency. They play a critical role, and they're members of our community. Many of them are also engaged in their civilian jobs as first responders too. They might be firefighters, they might be correction officers, they might be court officers, police officers, but they they're part of the solution. They're part of the city. They're part of the Commonwealth. And I think if we change the image about what the National Guard actually does, I think many people would understand how critical they are to the residents of the Commonwealth.
So if you had the power today,
here comes the tough question, Steve.
If you had the power today to solve that problem, what would you do?
Well, I would look at Boston, giving people that want to transfer, police officers that want to transfer into Boston, waive the residency requirement, allow them to come to Boston. I would also ensure that we aggressively recruit police officers of color, women, into the Boston Police Department, but also supporting them as well. I don't think the city leadership supports our current police officers.
Yeah.
I think police officers know that. It's not politically correct for me to say that, but I don't think city leaders support the police officers. We have to change the way we communicate and work with police officers and their families as well, because retention is also a critical part of keeping our neighbors safe. And that includes police officers that have been on the force for a period of time. A lot of them are retiring early before their mandatory retirement age. And they say we're leaving because we don't have the support any longer of city officials.
And you would have to think too, with that, taking that into account, again, the stress levels just from the day-to-day stuff, especially if you're working in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. You're always responding to the same stuff. And, I don't know.
Yeah, Steve, you're right. One police officer said to me, "Hey, Ed, I work an 8-hour shift, and around the 5th or the 6th hour, I'm ordered to work another 8 hours. But you know something, Ed? I was supposed to take my kid to a medical appointment because my wife was working. I was supposed to take my, child to their after-school program. And I'm not, or I need to take my daughter to a dance recital. I can't be there for my family because I'm doing mandatory overtime to cover shifts." Well, that's unhealthy for that family, for that officer and his or her spouse. It puts strain on a marriage. It puts strain on family life. And it also is unhealthy to the residents of Boston. Having a police officer working on the 15th hour or the 16th hour going into make an arrest, mistakes happen when you're tired. I know that because I served in the Navy. We were working 24 straight hours a day in the Persian Gulf off of Iraq. And after 12, 13, 14 hours, I was tired. Walking the beat along the aircraft carrier or covering duty. But you're not on top of your game.
Yeah, and that's with any job.
That's with any job.
Yeah.
You couldn't do the radio for 15 hours and continue to speak like you were on your second hour.
Right. I've come in here tired before and been like, what?
Yeah. You owe the residents of Boston 100% of your effort.
Right.
And you're not 100% on top of your game after 13, 14 hours of work. We're setting police officers up for failure. It's unfair. It's unhealthy. And we need a better system. But we have to acknowledge it first.
Right.
You just did.
Yeah, we just did. We just did. Thank you to both of you.
Yeah.
We just did. But I'm trying to encourage city leaders, including city councilors and the mayor, that the current status quo can't work any longer. I'm asking them to make a change based on public safety, based on supporting residents, but also based on how we treat police officers and their families.
Right.
I think we are treating them disrespectfully when we force them to consistently work 16 hours a day. Very unhealthy, very unfair. It's hurtful to the residents of Boston.
And you say that it was mandatory.
That's what it is. You're exactly right.
Wow.
It's mandatory. So if the shift is not filled, they'll ask a police officer that's currently working there that you are working an extra 8 hours,
Wow.
even though you may have said to your supervisor, well, I have an appointment with my child to go to a dance recital. Of officers working 16 hours a day doesn't work. I'm willing to work with anyone that wants to work with me on making this change. And I encourage the mayor and city councilors to work with me and develop some of my recommendations into law.
Right.
16 hours.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, because something has to give, because this has been going on. I mean, when you look at it, it's every year.
It's every year. You're exactly right, Steve. And we have the same argument every year.
Same problems.
Same problems.
Same neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And same types of violence.
Yeah. And we just can't keep kicking the can down the road expecting something to change, because nothing is going to change unless we change it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real power is with the residents of the city, and elected officials underestimate them. And they don't include them, but residents know what's happening in the city. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes the best solutions are not at City Hall. They come from the residents themselves. Mm-hmm. That's why I listen closely when a resident talks to me, because usually they're right, and usually they have good recommendations.
Yeah, they do. I agree with you on that. But, they're also tired, and some of them just don't say anything because it's gotten to the point where nothing has changed,
Well, you're exactly right. A lot of people said, Ed, you've been saying this for, 8 years. When are you going to move on and get another issue? But I can't give up, Steve. This is a major problem. Mm-hmm. And as long as I'm on the city council, I'm going to continue fighting for public safety resources to make our neighborhoods safer. And I'm just not going to ignore a problem when I see it. Yeah, it's probably better for me politically just to ignore it and pretend everything is fine. But that's not how I go to work every day. I go to work every day looking at challenges and trying to come up with solutions. And sometimes people don't like it. Steve, a lot of times people don't like it, right, including other elected officials. But I was elected by my constituents, and I'm going to continue to provide the best positive leadership I can for the residents of Boston.
Right. Okay. All right. So there's your public safety tips and issues and problems that need to be solved for the morning. Mm-hmm. For now, anyways. I know you got a bunch of questions you said you had, Tara.
I do.
Go for it.
In different areas.
Okay, Tara.
Let me see. So, what is the city council doing directly to reduce youth violence?
It's a great question. Youth violence is a major problem in the city of Boston. I know we partner with some excellent community organizations, mm-hmm, nonprofits. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of wonderful people throughout the community that are doing good work, working with the police, but more importantly, working with the public. Those types of youth programs are critical, including our after-school programs, mm-hmm, youth sports programs, ensuring residents, our young people and residents have access to critical services so that they're learning about job training. They're getting a good education at public schools. But partnerships, critical partnerships is important. Many of them, unfortunately, have been cut during the budget, but they play a critical role in our city and, including summer jobs for our youth. is
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
That's something I focused on working with City Councilor Henry Santana and Brian Worrell as well, trying to get as much money in the city budget as we can for youth employment.
Awesome. So let me see here. What opportunities are available for teenagers and young adults to keep them off the streets?
There's so many wonderful city programs that we have, but many young people don't necessarily take advantage of them.
But do they know about it?
A lot of times they don't know about them.
Right.
Like the summer jobs program. I think it's a very good program, but you are correct. A lot of young people don't know about them. I think we need to start registering youth while they're in school, getting them a guaranteed job while they're in
school.
2 months before school gets out,
Right.
giving them an opportunity. Here's where you start. You need to get your paperwork in. You need to get some forms filled out. But let that process start while the student is still in school before they're released for the summer.
Right.
Get everything confirmed. And before the end of the year, let that student know exactly where you're going to start, when you're going to start, and that there's no hiccups at all in the paperwork because you had all year to get it done. And that's what I'm going to try to continue to focus on, is making sure we have those guaranteed slots for youth before they leave for the summer.
Right. And I also think that sending like home a letter to the parents or mailing to everyone's address to inform them of the program that you have in store for them.
I think that's a great recommendation. Sending a letter home and mailing it just so that the parent definitely receives it.
Right.
Also, if there's a parent that may not speak English, communicating with that parent in Spanish or Cantonese or French, whatever the language may be. But I do think that the parent or guardian should know exactly the opportunities available for their son or for their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But it is about communication. But Boston Public Schools can play a critical role.
Right.
But we have to ensure that the guardian or the parent is actively involved.
Right.
They know about how to apply for a summer job, and they stay on top of their child as well. I think that's critical.
So it's a community thing. Like we all need to help each other, basically.
That's right. You said it perfectly. It's about the community. We need to help each other out. There's wonderful nonprofits that also offer assistance to young people to help fill out their application, to hire young people.
Yeah.
And it's really about working together. It's about partnerships. It's about respecting each other. And the other point I wanted to make is city officials need to listen better.
Yeah.
When you listen to someone, I always try to listen to someone for like 5 or 10 minutes before I speak. Give them an opportunity to say what's on their mind. And then after 5 or 10 minutes, then you have the opportunity to respond.
Yeah.
But listening is a critical skill that most elected officials don't utilize.
Kind of like a relationship.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep, you're exactly right, Steve.
And I think you said that perfectly as well. To listen before responding, before doing anything. We all, not just them, everyone needs to listen first before they decide to speak any words out of their mouth.
You're exactly right. And if a Boston resident calls up an elected official on the telephone, for that resident to call up that elected official, that might be the most important call they make all year. They don't necessarily want to call the elected official,
right,
but they may have an issue. They need to try to help their kid get into a drug treatment program. They might have a problem with their child at something related to the school system.
Yeah.
They might be talking about a sidewalk that needs repairs for an elderly person, a person with disabilities. So those calls are critical, and we can't dismiss them as just it's just people complaining. That's the wrong attitude.
I feel like these issues are not a hard fix. you know. But you got to kind of like work from the inside outside. You know, you gotta attack the problem from the core, and then all those other things, like there are a lot of good programs out there that, like you mentioned, like they don't know about them.
Right.
But I think if you attack things from the inside on out, it just helps all the other programs that are there. Then those programs can really get to work and make a difference.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
Well, it sounds like to me that we should have a big rally. All of us come together. The community, Councilor, and all the radio people. Everyone should come together, have a huge cookout, and we talk about the violence. We educate the parents and the siblings as well about, you know, there are options. We don't have to live like this.
Right.
And I think the more that we can all come together, and I mean like not just like a phone call or even like the letters, but us interacting with each other, you know, every year, that I think that would play a difference in helping the younger people to see that they don't have to go down the wrong road, that everyone does care and love them, because I think that's a huge issue there.
Totally agree.
We're not interacting with these young people, and actually, I feel like in my heart, they're really looking for love. That's what they're really looking for.
That's right.
It's for love.
Yeah, and they're being led by the wrong things too. So that's part of the problem. So we got to change that. I'm gonna switch it up just a little bit, because it's been a great summer so far, especially weather-wise.
It has been.
It's been a great summer. For some people, though, when they get that electric bill, not so much. So I want to talk about, because there's a lot of different charges on electric bills right now, if people haven't noticed. How does that happen? How do these charges begin to appear that were never there over the years? Or is it just me, or did those charges go up? I don't know, but it's a issue with a lot of folks in the neighborhoods complaining about the cost of electricity nowadays.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. I had a lot of residents reach out to me and ask me why their electric bill is going up. From what I understand, much of this is overseen by the state, and the state works with the electrical providers, I guess, or companies, and discuss when they're able to increase the price of delivering electricity to residents. But I do know it has a negative impact, especially on low-income families, seniors, persons with disabilities, working families. But even going up, $6 has an impact on residents, or a couple of dollars.
Right.
But I do think there has to be leadership from the city of Boston as well on this particular issue that both of you highlighted very well. That, how do we support residents that are struggling to pay their bills, their electric bill, their water bill, their mortgage, because prices continue to go up, and they might be on a fixed income, and their income is not going up, even though their bills are going up.
You hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a major problem.
We have to put ourselves in the shoes of other people, and figure out, if you were a person on a fixed income and you may have a pension of $40,000 or $50,000 a year, how are you going to pay your bills? Very difficult. I'll tell you one story. There was a woman at a store next to me. She was a retired person. She had a pension because she's a retired city employee. She was at the store, and she was looking at a can of Campbell's soup.
Yep.
And she was staring at it. And I said to her, "What are you looking at the can of soup for?" She says, "Oh, Ed, this can of soup, it went up 10 cents." And I said to myself, I didn't say it to her, but I said to myself, well, that's not a big deal, 10 cents. But for her, it was a big deal.
Right.
But for her, it was a big deal.
You got to take yourself out of it.
Yeah. And I said, well, I'm glad she told me that. because that she's dealing with food insecurity, and because of the cost of food, because of the cost of other bills as well. But Boston has a food access program for people like that in that situation. If people want to reach out to me, I can get them in touch with the food access program if they want to drop me an email at ed.flynn@boston.gov, ed.flynn@boston.gov. But there are food access programs from the city of Boston and community partners as well. But for a lot of people, food access is a real important issue. I think it's a civil rights issue too.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question from one of the listeners. They said, do you believe increasing the number of police officers in the community would help improve public safety? Now, I don't know if they heard you earlier. I know you said that there's a shortage of police officers. So, not really sure if you can increase more police officers.
Yeah, Boston has the ability to increase more police officers. I do believe if we had more police officers on the city, we could address the ongoing violence and crime and quality of life issues as well that are very important to residents. But if you're if someone is using drugs in front of your stairs and leaving needles on top of your stairs as you take your kid to school the next morning, that's an emergency for you. And those are some of the calls I receive daily from Boston residents. In Chinatown, in the South End, in downtown Boston, many families after 7 o'clock at night don't necessarily feel safe going out. There's an element on our streets that are preying on people, and that type of quality of life, that type of public safety, we need to support residents in their safety. But no one has the right to prey on people, to cause violence in the city. It's having a major impact on residents. It's having a major impact on quality of life, public safety. But the random violence that we continue to see in Boston, we need to address it. I actually want the city of Boston to host a community summit like you highlighted, where we come together and residents can talk about what they feel is happening in the city. In city officials, including myself and the police, listen to residents, not just tell residents what we're going to do, but really listening to residents' stories, because we don't do that. We just assume we know what the problem is. And when you assume that you know what the problem is, oftentimes you're wrong. So this summit would include closely and respectfully listening to residents about quality of life issues, public safety challenges in their neighborhood. And I have asked the mayor to do that. I have asked the police commissioner to do that. I haven't heard back from them yet.
I think that was great. And you can definitely count me in.
Excellent.
I will be there helping.
Thank you.
Speaking. I'm serious.
We would need you. That would be excellent to have you.
I would love to, because we need to make a change. A change needs to happen, because at the way that it's going right now, it's just the same thing over and over and over.
And Boston residents, they're resilient people. They don't want to give up on the city. They know we have major challenges, public safety, quality of life, but they have vested too much of their time and energy to see a city decline. They want us to provide the critical and positive leadership necessary to move forward, to address public safety, to improve public safety, improve quality of life. But I know I'm not giving up on the residents of Boston.
Thank you.
And I know the residents aren't giving up either, because the residents are determined. They love the city. They know what it can be, and they know we have major problems, but they're willing to work with city officials if city officials are willing to work with residents.
Okay, so another thing I want to ask is, how is Boston addressing mental health, addiction, and trauma in the communities affected by violence?
Another great question. I was a probation officer for 8 years in Superior Court.
So you've done a lot in your life.
I did a lot in my
You were
life.
in the military.
Yeah.
You was on probation.
Yeah.
Probation officer.
Yeah.
Like you've done a lot.
That was one of the best jobs I had as a probation officer, because I had the ability to help people get into recovery. Most people everyone on probation had substance use challenges or mental health challenges. But I had the ability to help them get into treatment programs. Sometimes it was detox, and then it was short-term recovery, and then long-term recovery, mental health counseling, housing. But I do think we have to welcome back our returning citizens as well, with support and services that they need. And I think that starts certainly at the youngest level, when people are in school. But what I really mean is returning citizens, helping them before they become involved in criminal activity. But
Yes.
once they're in the criminal justice system and they're in jail or prison, yes, they made a mistake. They may have made a couple of mistakes, but they're coming back to our neighborhoods where they live. And we want to ensure that they come back to be productive citizens,
Yes.
healthy citizens. I think they want to do that. The majority of them want to do that. They want to work. They want to support their family. They want to pay taxes. They want to make a contribution to their community.
They want an opportunity.
They want an opportunity. You're
Right.
exactly right. And they deserve an opportunity. They deserve an opportunity to work hard, working 40, 50 hours a week, so that they can pay their bills to support their children, and their children sees that parent as a role model, and you're breaking that cycle. But that's an issue I've focused on, is supporting returning citizens. Governor Deval Patrick did a lot of work on Corey reform. It was excellent work. I think we need to expand on Corey reform, on what Governor Patrick and the state legislature accomplished. But we need to be more welcoming to returning citizens. And that's something I'm going to continue to focus on, because I think it's a critical issue in many communities across the city.
I have just two more questions.
Of course.
Okay.
And they're all great questions.
Right.
Thank you for asking.
And we know you got to run too. So.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay. So
glad
two
to
more
be here with you.
questions. Thank you for your time. If residents feel their voices aren't being heard, what should they do?
If residents feel that they're not heard or respected,
Mm-hmm.
you can, I would encourage them to contact me.
Mm-hmm.
And my email again is ed.flynn@boston.gov, ed.flynn@boston.gov. But also you have each neighborhood has a district city councilor. You can also reach out to your district councilor and set up a meeting and have an opportunity to discuss what's important to you. And then hopefully the elected official will take the call, will take the meeting. But it's important for elected officials to listen to residents, to learn about what their challenges are, what their problems are. And a lot of times the biggest problem is residents don't feel like they're respected.
Yeah.
If you don't respect residents, it's hard for residents and elected officials to work together when residents know that there's not the respect coming from elected officials. I think that's a big part of the problem, but I also think that's a part of the solution as well.
I think they got to show it.
They got to show
Like
it.
the summit you're talking about.
Yeah.
That is showing your action, showing it. I think that would be a change.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And residents and elected officials need to be in the community, listening to people, talking to people. If an event starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, elected officials should get there at 8:30. so that they can talk to the people that are already there. They can give them their business card.
Right.
But when the event starts at 9 o'clock, you can't go around talking to people. And when the event is over at 10 o'clock and the elected official leaves, well, you're missing a lot of the people.
Right.
You need to be there early and talk to people before an event starts. And that's how you engage the public.
And interacting after the like if it's over at 10 from everyone speaking, then they should come down and interact with the people, hang out with the people, eat with the people. That's what you call breaking bread, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's critical for elected officials to do that. Elected officials want to leave right after the event is over. If you notice it,
Yes.
you know,
All right, we out of here.
Yeah, we
All
out
the
of here.
time.
We out.
You should, people should expect. Here's one example: National Night Out, which is the crime watch sponsored by the city of Boston, will take place pretty shortly. Residents have the opportunity, when the Crime Watch National Night Out takes place in the neighborhood, to engage their elected officials. Most of them will be at the Crime Watch National Night Out, kind of a reception or a barbecue. But it's an opportunity for residents to engage elected officials about what's important to them. Elected officials will normally say, everything is going great here, crime is down, there's nothing to worry about. But it's the responsibility of the residents not to accept that and to challenge in a respectful way, but challenge all elected officials. Well, I understand we are low on police officers. What is your plan to get more police on the streets of Dorchester, of Roxbury, of South Boston?
Yeah.
And then have the conversation with the elected official. Elected officials might not want to do that, but the residents have the right to engage their elected officials. Take the opportunity to speak what's on your mind when you see elected officials, and just don't allow the elected official to tell you everything is great here and that we have no problems.
So let me ask you. I know you got to run. So final question for me: how much, or better yet, political wise, in terms of problem solving, how much of it is politics, if you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Politics plays a critical role in decision making. Elected officials will say it doesn't, but believe me, it does. Every decision is political. Every politician is trying to figure out what the politics are of an issue, how it plays out. So we have to at least acknowledge reality. We just can't say, politics has nothing to do with decision making at City Hall. That's absurd. But it plays a significant role in decisions being made at City Hall.
Okay.
Can I do my last question?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you had one message for the people of Boston today, especially those who feel forgotten or discouraged, what would it be?
Don't give up on your city. Don't give up on your family. Don't give up on your community. Your best days are yet to come. It's about working together, hard work, sacrifice, resiliency, and we'll get through challenges together. But we need everybody involved.
Yes.
And everyone is significant. Mm-hmm. Everyone is important. Yeah. Even though politicians might brush you off, ignore you, but everyone has a story, right, and has suffered, yeah, and has challenges and has trauma. But we can't give up on people. Mm-hmm. We have to respect people.
Yes. Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Coming in on such short notice, Ed.
Thank you. I was honored to be here, and I love the opportunity to come here and talk to you, and I'm just so grateful to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure meeting you. I mean, I would have never guessed that you even think the way that you think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind
You're
of
a
you.
very, I'm basically saying you're a very caring person. Like most people would think that the people in politics, that they are not. They only care about themselves and
Right.
what they can gain. But you have compassion. A lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, I learned that from my family, from my community. Um, but you don't give up on anybody because they're down on their luck, or they, what they need is a helping hand. What
Yeah.
they need is support. They don't need more roadblocks in their way. They need encouragement, an opportunity to be successful, an opportunity to get into a job training program,
Mhm.
into counseling. Yeah, people have made mistakes their whole life, including myself, but everybody is important. Everyone is significant, and it's about bringing people together and showing people, as you mentioned, that they are loved and they are valued.
Yeah, see, that right there, that right there shows you that he was listening, because he said, what did he say? You are loved. You are loved. He
Ye-
remembered that. He was listening,
I was
guys.
listening to you, and you know something, I never used that word, to be honest with you, because I never thought about it, but it's a good message, and I think it's important for us to let people know that they are loved, because
Yeah.
they don't hear that from elected officials, and it's just something that didn't connect with me until you brought it up. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us
Pleasure.
again.
Thank you.
Our doors are always open. Ed, you the man.
Great to be with you.
Ed, I didn't
Boston
know
City
you.
Councilor Ed Flynn, y'all.
I didn't know you before, but I know you now.
And I'll see you at the
Uh-oh.
next cookout.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And looking forward to seeing you guys throughout the neighborhoods.
All right. Thanks again, Ed.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank
All right.
you.
That's Boston City Councilor Ed Flynn. If you didn't know, now you know.